All right, everyone, it's Joy from Kudos, and I am coming to give you the latest updates on the college admission scandal. It is just in today that Felicity Huffman, Monday, May 13th, has pleaded guilty in the scam, which we all know is led by William Singer, basically a bribery scheme in which William Singer, persuaded clients, vice versa. They paid him to get their kids into elite colleges like Georgetown, Stanford, Yale, University of Texas, I believe was one of the other ones, Wake Forest, either through altering their SAT scores or bribing a college coach to mark them as recruited athletes, which basically gave them a side door in. So Felicity Huffman pleaded guilty today. I'm reading here from CNN. It says Felicity Huffman broke down crying before a federal judge Monday after she pleaded guilty to paying $15,000 to William Singer through his fake charity. And this payment facilitated cheating when her daughter took the SATs for college admission. The prosecution in the case is recommending, because Felicity Huffman decided to plead guilty, unlike some of her counterparts, the prosecution in the case in the court in Boston is recommending that she receive only 4 months of prison time, which is really on the light side. I think I said last time that, had she taken this to trial, she could have gotten up to 20 years, according to what's federally allowed according to sentencing guidelines. But since she pleaded guilty, as I said before, the prosecution is recommending 4 months. They've also suggested a $20,000 fine for Huffman and 12 months of supervised release. And so what she would eventually be charged with, of course, is a felony. So she would, depending on where she lives, in some cases lose her right to vote. And other restrictions. Now I'm looking here that Felicity Huffman, in talking to the judge, admits that, or at least states that she had no knowledge of Mr. Singer paying others. So through the course of their emails, Huffman and Singer exchanged words on how to provide her daughter with extra time to take the SAT exam. Still, Huffman is alleging that she had no idea Mr. Singer would then pay someone to alter her daughter's score. It doesn't really say whether her daughter's test score, if wrong answers were changed to right answers, if someone else, by the test administrator or this test taker that they had working, Harvard graduate, it's not clear. And so specifically it says here, Huffman agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud. And she is among 13 other parents in this college admission scheme who have said they will plead guilty in the scam. I'm reading from a statement Huffman released to the public in April, which says, quote, "I am in full acceptance of my guilt and with deep regret and shame over what I have done. I accept full responsibility for my actions and will accept the consequences that stem from those actions." Without passing judgment, because that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm here to report the news. At least among the 33 parents who have been charged in this case so far, Huffman, at the very least, seems to be remorseful for her part in it. As evidenced by her guilty plea, as well as, this apology and what seemed to be a tearful and remorseful look she had in the courtroom, according to folks that got to see her. Just some more details here. It says that eventually, through the altered test, Huffman's daughter received an SAT score of 1420 out of a possible 1600, which, I don't remember which school Huffman's daughter tried to get into or got into or graduated from, whatever the case may be. A 1420 isn't like a super great score. It really is just on the high side of average. So it's higher than what you'd see for an incoming class at a top 30 school for sure. So, the average score at a top 30, 40 school might be, like a 1250, and she got a 1420. So higher than average, but, nothing. And when I say top 30, I mean like the lower 30, not, number one, number two schools, because their SAT scores are, the averages are, right up there at the high end. But, yeah, so it's a little bit better than average, but not crazy. And it goes on to say here, about 400 points. The 1420 that she eventually got on the SAT was 400 points higher than the PSAT, which she'd taken a year earlier, which I honestly think that makes sense. The PSAT is just at a preliminary test that you take, sophomore year, second year in high school. And so I expect your SAT score that you take in junior year, the SAT you take in junior year or senior year, to have a higher score. So, at the end of the day, saying that her SAT was 400 points higher really doesn't say much, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of what the latest is. What's happening in early May with respect to this college admission scandal. There are another couple parents who have also decided to plead guilty and forgo a trial. And I know, just to kind of put into context how on the low end the prosecution's recommendations are for Huffman, one of the other parents have pled guilty in the case. The prosecution is recommending 18 months for him. And so, recommended 4 months for Huffman and 18 months for him. And I think some of that is probably because, there are some parents in this case who paid $6 million to bribe their kids' way in. Huffman, really, on the other hand, paid a relatively low amount, $15,000. No excusing that. But in the grand scheme of things, if we're thinking, who's going to get 15 years, if possible, and who's going to be on the low end of that, especially after pleading guilty, it makes sense that, Huffman's not getting the max. But there'll be many who say that 4 months is definitely on the low end of what prosecutors could have recommended for Huffman. Now, let me see if there's anything else before we close up here. Let's see. Manny Madrano, and this is reading from the LA Times, a defense attorney and former federal prosecutor, told the Times last month that based on 2019 federal sentencing guidelines, Huffman would likely face from 4 to 10 months in prison as part of her plea. So that's about in the range that we saw today, 4 to 10 months. But notice the key words here: likely would face 4 to 10 months. So it's not saying that that's the minimum. It's what is likely based on sentencing guidelines, precursors, the judge's personal interpretation of the law. And I'm reading on here. Some experts say Huffman's public apology might help in sentencing. Quote from Huffman: "I want to apologize to the students who work hard every day to get into college and to their parents who make tremendous sacrifices to support their children and do so honestly." Okay. It says that the $15,000 Huffman paid to William Singer is the lowest paid in the college admission scandal. So all in all, we might just see that Huffman gets the lightest sentence. Okay, well, I'm interested in hearing everybody else's thoughts on on the latest developments in this college admissions scandal. Felicity Huffman's entering her guilty plea today. According to those inside the courtroom, she will be sentenced in September. I believe the date was September 13th, so it'll be quite a while, almost 4 months until we find out what the actual sentencing will be. But she did plead guilty today, and as always, there's more to come. This was a far-reaching investigation, and it'll be a far-reaching trial with dozens and dozens and dozens of witnesses, dozens and dozens and dozens of defendants. So it'll be a long time coming. But let me know what you think, and don't forget to follow Kudos on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kudos Learning. And you can follow me on Twitter. That's what I use mostly, at Joy_G_Turner. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be dropping videos weekly with the latest college admissions tips, the latest college admissions news, getting you ready to make it into college and letting you know everything you need to know to be successful along the way. I will check you out later. Thanks for tuning in. Joy out.